to Cinema Red Pill. I'm Sharon.
Joel.
I'm Timothy.
And this is episode 100!
Yes.
We should have created
it should be like
just for us to
some confetti.
Yeah,
we'll do that. We'll do that.
Yes. Episode 100! Yeah. I dare you to find another event podcast that has these episodes, you guys.
Yeah.
We are the ones and
we are pioneers.
It's not that we survived. We are survivors. The podcasts come and as quick as they go, so we have managed to steal the course anyway. So 100 episodes. We started in September 2016, and this is 2022. Of course, you can see it's not exactly 100 weeks, but but we got here finally. Now we do video and everything. We're cool as shit.
We've upgraded.
I've upgraded.
Yeah.
Growth.
Yes. So this is exciting. Definitely want to talk a bit about the podcast. I started it out of frustration from writing. Writing is hard because you even rewrote for the website.
Yeah, I wrote one article. I think,
which was on Kurt Cobain or something.
Not Kurt Cobain.
What did you write about?
Wow.
I actually
don't remember.
What does Kurt Cobain
he had a documentary that was very nice. It had a lot of
montage of Heck.
Yes. I think I wrote about it.
Yeah, I wrote about something else, and I think that article must have been very bad. I can't go back to that.
Yeah, Cinema Red Pill was first a film website. I used to have news, latest. I was actually trying to be like a full corporation of a website.
Like movie news,
yes, everything.
Hot takes.
That definitely got tiresome. Extremely tiresome. And I discovered podcasts, so I'm like, let me do the thing. And I bought a mic from Moses Serugo. Shout out! I still have the same mic. Yeah.
Have you yet had Moses Serugo on the show?
Not yet. Can you imagine? I don't know what that camera guy is saying.
We'll have to correct that mistake.
Okay. Yes, but and by then I already knew Timothy, and he was the only person who I knew that was at my level, not in a very at my level. I'm not saying it in that way. I'm at my level of watching a bunch of movies. I'm not saying I'm sharper than the rest of you. And so of course he was the obvious person I did the first couple of episodes with, and over time.
You're forgetting someone. There's also Carlos Wanga who actually
named the podcast.
Who actually gave us the name for Cinema Red Pill. Carlos Wanga.
Because you guys, this podcast was going to be called 256 Film. No joke. It was almost called.
Put a thank you in all the credits.
256 or some random shit.
Oh no, there's so many 256 podcasts at a day.
Yes, so thank you, Carlos. I almost forgot that. But Timothy, we did the first couple of episodes together. Malcolm and Nikisi were my first guests. I can't remember who came first, but those were among the first people. So I went on a spiral of hitting people's DMs, anyone who I knew who knew someone, and then I found Joel. I can't even remember who introduced you to me. Did I hit your Facebook? Because you used Facebook so much about movies. But I started hitting people's DMs and we've met a ton of people like that. And you were one of them. But now Joel would never say no.
Always available.
Was always available. So when I got to the point where, of course, I could not keep doing this alone, I thought, who better than these two? I started with you. I don't even know why I didn't ask you earlier. Because really, the first time we were doing it together. And
the Matrix episode.
The Matrix episode and the Wakaliwood episode.
But she was like, they're jobless.
No big
exactly. We're very idle people. She had remember you were working at Kola Studios.
I was working at Kola Studios.
You actually don't know the night.
We would meet at 5 p.m. so much, almost every week at whatever location, but mostly that cafe. But before the cafe, where were we? It was always at the cafe, right?
Yeah, it was at first at that cafe.
No, there was also
your place.
The
office. We first actually did it the bar or cafe opposite your office.
Yes, then that's when it would be at my home in
Yes, and then the restaurant.
Even the Wakaliwood and thing we did at my home in Kisasi. So that was it. Then with time we did from 32 when I was working at 32, and now we're here. in a fancy house room.
Fancy home.
Moving on up, I shall take that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started this, and yeah, we're going to keep going. Like it's now at a level where I feel it can't die because it's no longer about any one of us.
Mm-hmm.
So like it can continue. Like if I'm not available, it doesn't stop.
Yeah.
If you're not, it does not stop. It's now a super.
And it's like how those investors say you're getting that first, what is it, 100k? Is it a million? And from there so reach 100 episodes. So from here we'll just.
And also I feel like we've built like with the guests who come on and like friends who have included in this, like there's a good ecosystem of different people like working in film, not working in film, people who just like enjoy talking about film.
Like we have some actual credibility.
Oh, and in this time both of you have done stuff.
Yeah.
I'm the one with the wayside. But because when we started none of you had done anything.
Nothing.
At least. Even you weren't at Maisha yet.
Yeah.
Had you
I think I was.
No, I think
I was
you
at
already at
Maisha.
Maisha.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Joel. Yeah, I think I saw you at a festival or something.
Yeah,
I think that's the first time I saw Joel was at a Maisha festival in Gulu.
Yes.
Like 2015 or something.
So as in the things.
So I was the only unemployed one.
Me was just a part-timer.
Just a part-timer.
Hey, now Joel is a full-fledged
Yeah.
Apparently. So I've had.
But I hadn't.
fancy filmmaker moving around in writers' rooms and shit. Yeah, congratulations. This is really good.
Like freelancing is a different kind of joblessness.
You are living. And Timothy, you've also made a film.
Yeah, I made a short film. Didn't go very far, but yeah, I've managed to like keep within the sphere. Of course, as Joel said, doing freelance work, mainly in film. So yeah, it's moving on, and of course, there are still other projects that will be realized eventually. So we keep it pushing.
This is the first time I'm now jobless. I've gone back.
Everything came full circle.
There's no full circle. Now I'm the jobless one. Attempting shit. So wish me luck. Maybe at 200 something else will be different. Something that a friend told me was like, we really should think of doing a live episode.
Yes.
It would have been perfect for 100th, but we are just attempting video. I don't know if we can start.
We don't have the equipment for streaming live.
Yeah, exactly.
But
I mean, we have phones.
Not live, like at a location, like at a bar.
Oh, like with a live audience.
With a live audience, that's what I mean.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It's interesting. Well, might be our next step. We'll see. It's a whole thing though. Anyway, this is a whole thing. Right? You can't be like boring.
Yeah.
You
have to be.
You have to be on your feet.
Yep.
There's no edits.
Can't be looking in your notes.
Creepy. But we'll see. We've done video now, so.
Yeah, because there's those guys. Who are those guys that like watch like they'll sometimes there'll be like a cinema con kind of thing where it's like they're watching B movies, but there are these guys on YouTube that will go and watch the movies with the audience and comment. They'll have microphones to comment on the movie. It'll be a movie everybody has watched.
Oh my god.
And you just, I think it's riff tracks. And then you're just kind of riffing along with them as you're watching the movie, and it's an experience.
Yeah.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I'll try that.
I'll see. So, wait, is there anything you want to add about the podcast?
No.
Historical
facts about the podcast. I'm even trying to remember like the first thing reviewed. Like what was even happening? I remember, I think we talked about like an X-Men movie or something at some point.
Maybe Captain. It was a superhero thing.
Because I think that's specifically actually why I was brought on, because it was it was probably Civil War or something.
Civil.
Yeah, probably.
That's one of the early episodes we did.
But it was great. I mean, we're like even so respectable now. We used to do quite a number of things off camera. I want to incriminate myself.
No,
but most of
those episodes we were drunk.
We got lit a lot of times.
But now we're like so professional.
We used to record 3 episodes at a time by the 3rd episode.
At some point that was like the only draw. It's like, we'll go like get lit and talk about movies. That sounds like a good time. But when I was so respectable,
We're not drinking through it.
But maybe we're missing out on sponsorships because we turned our lives around.
Which reminds me actually of my worst episode.
Oh no!
All of us, we recorded an episode. I can't remember what we were waiting for, but we were waiting at a bar.
Worst idea.
A bar that had happy hour.
I think it was a space. I think we were waiting for
the space to get empty.
Yes, and it was about the end of the year, like countdown.
Yes.
Countdown.
And we were 7 people. It was like plot of you call a person and they call their friend.
Yes.
Yet that just wasn't the plan.
Yeah.
But while the space finally got empty, then we bought a full crate. Because it was happy hour and we could and we went there to record. Disaster. We had this one camera in a huge room of drunk people trying to talk about films.
Talking
at
over
the
them,
same
talking
time
over each
talking
other.
over themselves.
I was so annoyed when I had to edit that podcast.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I hated it so much. I think I gave myself 2 weeks. I'm like, I'm not doing this. No. We did a break. Yeah, that was.
What about favorite? Do you have like a favorite episode?
Oh, that's a hard one. That's a hard one. That's really, really a hard one. I can't answer that.
I have one.
What's yours?
I'd say the one where we did I Am Not a Witch and The Wound.
And the Wound.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like that was just an episode that flowed really well.
Yeah.
And again, it was 2 African films. I think it was around the period there was like a lot of good African films coming out. So I think it was a very good one for me at least.
When I'm asked to submit though, I think I don't have perspective for myself. I can't pick one that I hosted, so I usually pick Bad Black. Bad Black because Tim came with so much data on Hollywood. I was like, what the fuck? It was just so much knowledge which I had no clue about. And he hosted it. It was that's the one I usually pick as my favorite.
Okay.
Joel, what's yours?
I think probably I guess what I'll say was the most impactful. Because I don't even think it was a particular episode, but like when we started like reviewing African films, the very first time I think we were recording in your house even. I forget if it was Sembene movies review or something.
Then the Cedric Idol film?
Yes. But I just loved going on that journey because my brain was oversaturated with Western stuff. It was so good to see that there was like a track record like that far back and to like find like there was this whole like cinematic language and style. It was a very nice moment. I think for me, I think it's the one I remember really enjoying the most that like stands out to me. That
recording session was really good.
It was. It was.
Oh, I have to mention my other worst. She's Gonna Have It. We did an episode on She's Gonna Have It. I was the only woman with how many men?
3.
And I could have killed myself.
Shout out to Nick.
Never.
Nick.
Nick. Oh my god, I don't even want to remember what happened. I think you guys were defending something that's so indefensible.
I think it was.
I think you were lumping us all in.
It was Nick insisting on something.
And I think it was also a bit on that tangent. I think it was, as you said, we were a lot younger, very tone deaf on a lot of things, still reading and educating ourselves on a lot of things. But of course, the enthusiasm to talk about just a very good Spike Lee film, and that kind
that
of
we all love,
but didn't know how to like maybe fully like critically look at as perhaps men, I would say.
So many men. I was so frustrated, you guys. I contemplated not uploading it. Like, we must live through our mistakes.
Yes, we should.
Oh my god. Any other standout? Those were by far the ones for me.
Yeah, I think those are the biggest ones for me, really.
Ones,
That really messy one, that end of the year thing. Because it was completely unusable. I don't even know if we uploaded it.
We did.
But
people can actually go and check it out. It's up there.
Because I remember listening to just like 10 minutes of it. Like, oh my god, there's nothing you can pick.
Yeah.
And for me, it's, I think, my very favorite because of how disastrous the planning was and how many mistakes were made in the process to get there.
Yeah.
It was a memorable night. There are so many ways. And I think from there we learned not to have too many people.
Don't get too high.
We have really learned.
Yeah.
So. But this is, it's really been a journey.
Yeah.
And Bobby, we've said something, like Nick though made us do an episode on, what's that fancy director's name?
Oh, Ingmar Bergman, Seven Seal.
Which I still
and
appreciate.
I also really like that one because I think even Niku suggested it and I was super psyched to do it.
Yeah.
But he just came out of the gate with like so much info.
It was so good.
For such a, I think he did really a lot of
he's quite the certified.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
He's on these people's level.
Yeah. I must talk about like Sarah, who has been on a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
She's also one of the always available people. Thank you, Sarah. Who gave us a lot of feedback on our videos. Like Sarah, I'll tell them the things. She said a lot of things. She has lots of feedback. But Sarah's been great. Brenda's been great. Yeah, people really come through. Nick, Mark, who's behind them right now. We've had
and also a bunch of good guests, as you said. Like we had Raymond Malinga and
God,
Robin with the case of preachers and Malcolm Bijaman has been on a couple of times. So
Nikisi is also now a big deal in the job. It's been really cool, and those people have remained friends of the podcast. Always ask about it when it's taken a long hiatus. So it's really great to have people in our corner all this time. Pretty cool. All right, let's answer the dreaded question. So for our 100th, we're going to answer a question that I really hate and always get asked as a film buff. What's your favorite movie? It's the most annoying question.
I wish I would ask you, what's your favorite movie this year?
Right?
It's an easier question to answer.
It's so annoying because people ask it as like, let me watch it, but it's like, will you though? Like, why don't you ask me what you think you would like?
They also ask it because they want to hang you with it. I'm like, this is the sum of your entire identity.
Right? Oh, I hate that question so much. But we have to answer it.
Unfortunately.
So when people ask me that, usually I lie. No lie. Like I always lie because I first gauge, if I know you, then I'll pick something that you might like that's maybe a bit outside but will be interesting for you. It depends on the crowd of the people who ask me. So in the past also I have this problem where it has taken long for me to like my own things. Like I was obsessed with Roger Ebert for a long time, and because Citizen Kane is his favorite movie, I would boldly say Citizen Kane is my favorite movie. A pure lie, it's just my utter attachment to the person, and I'm just like, this. But for a long time also it was Boogie Nights. I really like PTA. I love PTA.
I love PTA
like
too.
he's in my at the start of stuff. PTA was really a big one for me. But after that, then things got fuzzy. Like now when I widened my scope from American cinema, it was over. It was over. Like it's now really hard to gauge. So for today, my choice and how I processed it. First of all, thank God for Letterboxd. Letterboxd is a site where you can put a diary of the films you've seen, and on the profile they ask, there's a place to put your favorite films. There's 4 of them, so I looked through my 4 films and tried to get now where was my mind to even pick one of these. But the film I picked is called Secret Sunshine, and it's a film by a South Korean director called Lee Chang-dong. So my rationale behind this film, these people already said a big fancy, but yes, let me be the fancy one.
That's what I need to
I regret saying that. You're going to have me for this the entire time. You guys, that does not have to be. Oh God, why did I use that term? Anyway, so because I was talking to someone recently actually, and when discussing series, I was telling her the series I've watched, and she was talking about how she just can't watch something with pain. And for me, I really like films that have pain. I don't know what. I think okay, I always want to feel something. That's my main thing. I have to feel something, and pain is usually a stronger feeling to feel. So Secret Sunshine is about pain throughout, like trigger warning, lots of pain, because the film is about a woman who moves to a city that her husband was from, and her husband has died. So this whole thing of why are you here, and the way it moves is so, it's not really plot driven, but it is. Like, it doesn't make a big deal out of a plot turn. You know, there's when a film makes a big deal out of it. But she moves to the town and something tragic happens. Her kid gets kidnapped. And moving on from that, sorry, I'm going to spoil it, but it's about how the film is about it. And when the kid is kidnapped, he's fully killed. Then she turns to religion, right? I think that was my favorite thing about the film. She turns to religion to sort of like relieve herself from pain. And in the beginning, someone is trying to tell her, like, find Jesus because of the death of her husband, and she's like, I can't see him, so that's not a thing. But once the kid dies, she has like a moment where she goes to church and she's like singing a holy song, and she just starts screaming in pain. It is such a fascinating scene. And the thing also I like about this film is the lead character is dull, but the film is interesting, which I like. It's not easy to do something like that. She's actually dull. There's nothing fascinating about her. Absolutely nothing. It's just the film really keeps things interesting. So once she picks on religion, she decides to go and confront the guy who killed her son. And when she gets there, she finds that he has also found God, and God has absolved him of his crime. She is so annoyed. I think because of how I'm not a fan of religion and what it does, though I get how people can appreciate it. Even that moment of her deciding to relieve her pain that way, I get it. But to see it this way was so great. You know, like the pastors and stuff were just looking at her like, oh my, like we don't even know what to do for you. So and then it just ends really like she's just pissed. She goes off. She's of course annoyed. That's like, all this is a lie. But there's nothing she can do. She just moves. And I really, really love this film. There's why I would pick it is I still remember it. I'm going to pick a a film that's of the now. Say like the Batman, right? Matt Reeves, right? He makes good movies. Like I like the 8 movies. I remember liking them. I can't remember a thing about them. So that's I remember they were well made. They were good. I can't remember a thing. So the thing with the film like Secret Sunshine, it doesn't matter if I repeatedly watch it, there's just scenes that have stuck with me and I consistently remember them. Like in moments, like if someone asks me, there's just things that are too memorable about it. So it really makes it stand out for me as a favorite film. And I would say that one of the actors actually is a commonly known guy. Like there's a character in the film who actually is one of my favorite things. He meets her accidentally on her way to the town, and then he goes on like a long mission to get her. Like he is sticking around so long, it's even sad. You know, she's like, why are you? He just keeps doing nice things, and it's like, you should not do this much to get laid. You know, it's like it's so painful. And he is hilarious. It's really good. Like when she goes into religion, he's also cleaning himself up and all going in church. It's really silly. So but he's the guy who's in The Host. Have you watched The Host?
Yeah, he's in The Host.
He's in The Host.
It's Bong Joon-ho.
And Bong Joon-ho's who did Parasite. He's actually in Parasite as well. He's in Parasite. He's the dad who's the taxi driver.
Oh,
he's
that's a dope actor.
Dope actor. So he's in the film as well, which is really good. But yeah, my favorite film is Secret Sunshine. Valid reasons, right?
I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen it, and again, as you said, like I don't remember like the entirety of the plot, but I remember it just being like a very good film about loss and like loss pushing you to the edge, and people just trying to find some sort of meaning after losing. And that scene you mentioned is also one that really does stick out, because it just jumps out at you, and there's everyone in the church praying and they look crazy, you know, for what. Then this woman just like cries, and you're like, what? She's the one who really needs
Like
Jesus
this
the
also
most.
kind of like, I mean now I'm like also encouraged to actually watch it.
Yeah.
I kind of like how it's like South Korean like filmmakers, the way they tackle like social issues,
Yes.
like the way they have those discussions, so it's very interesting.
It's so good. Those guys are fire. Really.
And it's interesting because like weirdly, like I've never really thought of like people from Asia, like Far Eastern Asia, being really into like, you know, Christianity.
Yeah.
So like this one was really like one that really went deep into like Christianity in that world and the way it's set up. So I also found that interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so we're going in order of how we joined the podcast. So me first, Tim second.
Yeah. So picking a film for this was quite interesting because I think it's well known here that I'm a big Christopher Nolan fan, and I usually reference Memento as like probably my favorite, and I think it still is. But I felt like for the purpose of the podcast, I would go to another film that I felt is probably equally interesting and also plays with similar themes, but again is probably way more accessible than a Memento is. So I would say this is like this film and Memento. I would say they are close. It's interchangeable for the top two, I would say. So, and that film is Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. I don't know. You've both seen it. Yes. So
what's the rationale behind that?
So the rationale, like again, I think the way I watch films is that again it's changing nowadays, but like a lot of times I'm really like drawn to very particular like personalities, like doing film, like if it's a particular director or writer. And like for this film, it's a collaboration between two people I really, really like. So the screenwriter, the person who wrote the script, is Charlie Kaufman, and the director is a French director called Michel Gondry. So Charlie Kaufman has written and directed a number of films. I don't know if you've heard of them. There's Adaptation. I've watched that with Nicolas Cage. He did another one, Synecdoche in New York, with Philip Seymour Hoffman, being John Malkovich. And Anomalisa is more part of his recent stuff. So he always does scripts and stories that really deal with like, you know, the human psyche in very interesting ways. His way of writing is very self-reflexive. Like, say, Adaptation, he's given this job basically in the real world to adapt a script, and he basically adapts the script by writing himself into it. So it's very like film nerdy type stuff where you kind of see the reference and you get what he's doing, but I really enjoy his work. And then the director, Michel Gondry, began as a music video director in France. All of like the big Daft Punk videos, he directed them around the world, stuff like that. Then he kind of went into film, and his first film was actually written by Charlie Kaufman, Human Nature, but then he went on to direct The Science of Sleep. The movie isn't as boring as the title suggests. Be Kind, Rewind. I think Be Kind, Rewind. Yes, actually. And I think maybe something that's a bit recent. There's an HBO show with Jim Carrey called Kidding.
Oh yeah.
So he directed most of the episodes, and is a big part of like that. So that's kind of his style. Where Charlie Kaufman kind of plays with the psyche of the characters in interesting ways. He really plays very well with like the visual style. Like it could be presenting something very real, but like there'll be elements that are so surreal that he includes. And sometimes it elevates the movies and makes them very magical, in my opinion. So I felt this movie, the combination of the two, was something I really enjoyed. So in this film, as I said, it stars Jim Carrey, Kate Winslet. Actually has a very good cast. There's Mark Ruffalo before he was the Hulk. There's Kirsten Dunst. There's Elijah Wood. So it had Elijah Wood is that as it was a very great cast. So the concept, the basic story of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is that the character played by Jim Carrey, after a fight with his girlfriend played by Kate Winslet, they meet up, I think in a supermarket or something, and she doesn't remember him. Then he finds out that there's this company that deletes people's memories. So like if you have a relationship and it's like traumatic for you or whatever, you're like, I don't want to remember this person ever again, so you kind of just go and they delete that portion of your memory. So in that film it happens that he finds out he's been deleted, so heartbroken he's like, I'm also going to go do the same thing and delete this woman out of my life. So again, the way the movie is told, you can tell it's a bit of a romantic drama, and it has science fiction elements because this is like science that doesn't exist, of like people being able to delete memories. And again, there's also psychological aspects that it plays with, things like memory and things like that. So in the film, as he goes through this process of having his memories deleted, he's actually reliving them. And he's reliving them starting from like the most recent one, which was like the fight that they had. And it's just like you see them at their worst basically. But then as they go on further and further, he gets further to the back and he goes to the happier days. And then that's when, in the middle of like this dream state he's in, he decides that no, he doesn't really want to delete her. And so he kind of like keeps hiding her in like these different memories that are not even like necessarily like related to her, just to like kind of keep an inkling of her like somewhere there, so maybe who knows, when he wakes up he can actually go find her. So I found that very fascinating, just the way the whole movie is done, and it dealing with something like, it's sounds cheesy and very romantic, but the way they deal with it is that it looks at relationships in a very like real way, and like the reality at the heart of them. And like as they go through this, of course there are other plot lines happening. There's like, he has to record a video for like recounting his time. Like before you do the procedure, you have to record this video where you have to kind of explain why you're going through this. So we kind of get that perspective of him being a bit scorned and he's explaining why. Then again we have this perspective of him in this dream state as they're deleting the memories, and he's reliving them and rediscovering things that were actually good or bad in the relationship. And then there's like the present day, the people who are actually doing the procedure on him have their own silly love triangles going on in there. Then you find out that one of the boss basically was in an affair with the character played by Kirsten Dunst, and he had to even delete her memories, and she even had to have an abortion for him, and he basically deleted that. So there's just like exploring relationships in so many interesting ways, and I found it very interesting because at the end of the film they still make it back to each other, because she has deleted him, he deleted her, but somehow they meet again and then they are drawn to each other again, which kind of shows that even if you do whatever you do, it's still bound to happen, that you're supposed to maybe be with this person. And then the twist comes at the end, that when they actually like the company, character played by Kirsten Dunst, who I just mentioned, had to have an abortion and didn't know her memories were erased. When she does find out they were erased, she has to now like send out all these tapes of all of people, everyone who had forgotten, basically, who had their memory deleted. She sends them back all these tapes, and these two guys like Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet, these people who had forgotten each other but have found each other again, now have these tapes of them now talking about their past relationship. And like it's kind of at a new start, but they kind of realize all the bad stuff they did wrong, but then they still like figure like, let's give it another chance, which I found very heartwarming. So I would say that's a movie that I go back because I feel it hits all the right notes for me. It's very psychological, it's a clever film, it has a lot of heart at the center of it, and just even visually the way it's done when he's in this dream state, and the way they show like the memories disintegrating, it's like very dazzling stuff, and it's very great effect. So I would say that is really, for me, the film that I go back to it quite a bit, because I just feel like I have this problem, but I sometimes like films that I feel are too clever. Like I like a film when I'm done watching it, I'm like, the guy who wrote this is just thinking on a whole other level from the rest of us. So like
some people here.
Case in point. So I would say that is for me pretty much. I would say the film is my favorite because it hits so many of like, it's science fiction, it's a very accessible romantic drama or comedy, if you want to put it that way, and it's just a very, very well written script. I think the year it came out, it didn't win much, but it won best original screenplay. And again, I like seeing Jim Carrey because I'm a big fan of Jim Carrey, but I really enjoy him as much as I like his Ace Ventura, The Mask. There are those times he plays like these very serious roles, like The Truman Show, this one, even Kidding, I would say as well, where it's Jim Carrey, you know him as this clown, but he has these very weird emotional depths he can dig into. So I would say that for me would be my pick for favorite film. Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Wow,
Yeah.
man.
But why did you pick it over Memento? Your
No,
usual.
Memento again. That's what I would say. Of the two, I would say they are equally clever in the way they are done, but this one has a lot of heart. Like, because Memento feels like a very cold, clinical, like very, like it's being made by some sort of engineer or something of the sort for him to be able to piece all. And I love it for that, because I feel there are very few films that can recreate that kind of magic that he produced there. But I feel this does some of the same things while at the same time having a lot of heart and authenticity at the heart of it. So yeah,
I think like I liked your comparison of like Memento having like the complexity, because I also enjoyed Memento for the technicals of like telling this movie in reverse. And you're right, Eternal Sunshine actually has a lot of the same complexity in it, especially those moments where he's like digging through like his memories. And shot in such an abstract way, like just also on a technical level, like the film is just really good. But the heart of it is like so strong. Like Jim Carrey's performance was brilliant. Kate Winslet was great. Mark Ruffalo, I remember for like being in his underwear, like had white lips or something. That's like the only image I have of him in the movie. But I really also did like that moment, like that feeling of inevitability when they like still came back together. And I kind of liked how it was also kind of a blessing in disguise that they had lost their memories, because it kind of removed the emotional punch of things and like the hard feelings and allowed them to kind of dissect themselves like objectively. Like I went wrong here. It's like a blessing very few relationships have in the real world. So, and it was also hopeful, because I also do like, I like that you picked it for the reason that, there's like some good feeling in it. Because when like stuff is just depressing the end, which is like most indie stuff, then it's a little hard to be like, oh, go back and watch that. You can be like, oh, that was a brilliant movie, brilliant this, but like, would I watch it again? Nope, I wouldn't. But I really loved all the reasons you gave. And I actually want to watch it again now. It's a really great choice.
I watched it some time back, and I remember it being really great. I remember Kate Winslet, blue hair.
Yes.
I remember them on the beach. I remember them really connecting
on the ice.
and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I remember it being really great, but it's fuzzy, so I'm now also equally motivated to watch it again.
I just always go back to it at least once every year somehow. I just always find myself going back to it. It's again same with like Memento, those movies, but this one it really has like that feel good feeling at the end of it, even if it's really about just a relationship that went to shit, but then at the end you always have there's that kind of hope there, so it's good.
Cool.
Nice.
Joel.
Best for last.
Yep.
Tough act to follow. I'll say that. I love his choice so much. But speaking, like actually a good segue, like you said, how you go back and revisit every year is one of the reasons why you've eventually selected the movie that I'm going to talk about. This was an equally hard decision. I think we have talked about some of our favorite movies, both of us are doing throughout the episodes. I think I've talked about The Graduate and I've talked about
Oh my god, we did The Graduate as your favorite.
Yes, we did. I don't know how times have changed. But because when I was trying to think what's my favorite film, like in terms of like emotional impact, like a childhood, it would be Lion King in terms of putting me into cinema. It just was. To this date, I can recite the movie by heart, beginning to end, everything.
I'd say mine Terminator 2.
Terminator.
If I'm going to go by those.
then like in terms of like what impacted me in terms of like wanting to be a filmmaker and getting into films, pretty much every Martin Scorsese movie. I remember binge watching those in college and just wanting to make movies exactly the way he did and write dialogue the way he did. I just thought, wow, brilliant. But it's like, are those my favorite movies? Objectively, it's like it's so tough. So eventually I did settle on Lord of the Rings, the full trilogy. One of those people that says the whole trilogy is a movie. But and my caveats were, it took a lot to like get there, because I like the way you're a Nolan guy, I'm a Star Wars guy. So that was one of the things, like as much as like Star Wars is more like my favorite franchise, but I couldn't say objectively that any of the movies was like, I thought one of the best of all time. Like I like Empire Strikes Back, for instance. I think it's one of the greatest movies ever made, but it's not the best objectively for me. Now, Lord of the Rings for me hits a lot of things out of the park. There's no movie out there that I could think of that is quite like this production was or has been since. There's directed by Peter Jackson. I guess I have to also like introduce it a bit. Lord of the Rings needs introduction. But yeah, it's a fantasy movie. So it's like a fantasy trilogy actually. It's based on a book written by J.R.R. Tolkien, like way back in the day. And it's one of those properties that just like Dune, that people are just like, this will be impossible to adapt because of how many moving pieces are in there. I'll say something that's sacrilege. I tried to read the actual book, I think when I was a teenager, but it put me to sleep. I think
it was
like,
massive.
Yes, like a 1,000-page book, but it's so like the way Tolkien anyway like, write things. It's like you're reading like an encyclopedia of information.
I remember trying to read it after like reading Harry Potter. I'm like, I've read Harry Potter. Exactly. Then you get and you're like, okay, this is like different. It's completely
whole
different.
Other thing. It felt like actual homework or something, like to read it. And for me, it was really a monumental feat, Peter Jackson condensing all that information into these movies, and like settling on because of course there are like a bunch of characters, but he settles on Frodo, the POV of Frodo Baggins, played by Elijah Wood, who was also in Eternal Sunshine, which I think this was like maybe his major like breakout role. It's
the Elijah Wood role, like
where he like went mainstream. And long story short, like across the trilogy, we have Fellowship of the Ring, we have the Two Towers, and we have Return of the King, and it's just a story of these hobbits who like find this ring of power, and it's like this ancient wizard who's like waking up from a long slumber and he's going to take over the world, which is Middle Earth. And basically this other wizard called Gandalf assembles a fellowship of heroes who are going to journey into the heart of Mordor, which is the evil kind of sphere of influence. And they're like going to drop this ring into a volcano and save the world. Now, one of the major reasons why I love this movie, especially like Fellowship of the Ring, if you ask me to settle on what was my favorite in the trilogy, even though I look at it as one, the Fellowship of the Ring in particular, I loved the stakes of the movie and the heart of it especially. The heart is something that gets me. Because you have like these tiny people, the hobbits, they're about like 3 feet tall, and they're not, and you have like Frodo and his friend Samwise, I think played by Sean Astin. He's also in another one of my favorite sports movies of all time, Rudy. Now he's acting in like those Pure Flix movies. I don't know if that's a career choice or the career took a dive, but yeah, he's a pretty good actor. But yeah, I think his best work was also Lord of the Rings. But you have these two hobbits charged with basically saving the entire world. They have no like martial ability. They're not like the classic hero who can like go up against villains and take them down. Like all they have is just their brotherhood and each other. And one of the key like driving forces for why I love this movie, and it's one of the few movies that actually brings me to tears every time I watch it. Most times I watch movies I feel like I have no soul. What is it? But there's this key moment I think at the end of Fellowship of the Ring, where like the Fellowship is basically disintegrating because the ring kind of like brings out all the kind of evil desires like greed and like corruption. Like it basically corrupts the hearts of men. And because of how pure-hearted the hobbits are, like Frodo is able to like withstand the influence a bit, so he's the only person that can bear the burden. Then you have this is it Boromir? Yeah, played by Ned. Is it Ned Bean? Is that his name?
Sean Bean.
Sean Bean.
No,
Sean Bean. Yeah, Ned Stark. Yeah, always dies. Surprise, he dies in this movie. But yeah, I think he like tries to attack Frodo, and I think throughout the movie, like a few characters have intimated Frodo that he's the only one that can take on this burden, and he won't have like the Fellowship is like I think 12 or 8 people. I don't remember the full number. But it's like you're going to have to carry this burden on your own. Like your friends are going to turn on you, all that stuff. And Frodo's like, I'm going to go at this thing on my own.
Yeah.
And he kind of like runs away and gets on a boat. And it's this daunting, like really emotional, like journey. I'm like, shit. It's like he just has himself and that's it. Then his friend Samwise is like, like I promised to come with you.
Yeah.
And the only reason Samwise was even part of this journey is because he was eavesdropping on a conversation the wizard was having with Frodo that, you have to do this stuff with the ring. It's like, I caught you eavesdropping in the bushes, you're going to help him. Like, go on this crazy, like journey. Yeah. And the fact that he was a man of his word, and it's like, I promised I was going to help you do this thing, and I'm going to die trying if I have to. Yeah. For me, was such a major emotional moment, because he like wades into the water even if he can't swim. Yeah. And it's like, I'm going to drown today just to get on that boat with you. Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is the best bromance in history. The best heterosexual bromance ever put to screen. Which is the other thing. These guys look at each other so lovingly through the trilogy. Yeah, I think it's the most overt, intimate relationship between men I've seen in anything. That's like not Brokeback Mountain, which is like straight up, we're into each other. So I find that interesting. So imagine doing it in a heartfelt way. It was like, I believe it. And it's like you wish you had a friendship that was that palpable and that strong. And I loved seeing their friendship tested all the way to the end, and how things turned out. So that's my major reason for liking the movie. This movie is packed with a big cast of humans, and because you have like say Andy Serkis, where you have motion capture being pioneered.
Kate Blanchett there.
Kate Blanchett is there.
The Orlando Blooms and all
everybody. Orlando Bloom, Viggo Mortensen, Sir Ian McKellen. Is it Christopher? Who's the guy? Sir Christopher something. I forget his name. Sorry, another really good guy.
Yeah. The guy who plays Sauron? Or
yeah, the guy who plays Sauron. I forget him, but yeah,
his name.
He also plays one of my favorite characters in Star Wars. But yeah, also just the beast of a movie that this was, like a production that really on paper should not have happened. Yeah. Because especially a studio at that time dropping 300 mil on like an unproven property, nobody does that. And still even now nobody does that anymore. You'd be hard pressed like, let's first see your part 1 and part 2. But to greenlight like 3 movies. So the fact that Peter Jackson was able to shoulder this beast like for that amount of time, especially the fatigue that comes with it, because I think I read like principal photography was like 400 something days, so they shot for like 14 months straight and like shot the entire trilogy at once, at a go. And they were playing with all the regular production problems. I read also Viggo Mortensen was kind of cast last minute because the actor they had picked for Aragorn was kind of acting a diva and pissing off all the cast. So Viggo kind of like came in green and kind of felt the character, no rehearsals. Yes, and now it's impossible to see anybody else in that role.
The guy you were thinking of is Christopher Lee.
Yes, Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee is a brilliant actor. I think passed away sadly.
Yeah, he did.
And even just in terms of like the amount of departments as well that it took to put this thing together, the people that designed the sets, the people that did the CGI, which was still pretty groundbreaking at the time, all the practical effects, there's like this imaging technology, I forget, that was pioneered that allows you to kind of like photocopy like a bunch of people, like those big scrolling like action scenes. That's like technology that was pioneered like on shows on this movie. So for me, any movie really that pushes the envelope of like filmmaking and any movie that was able, because you could say that yes, this is like the most financed movie in history or whatever, but if it sucked, you know, it would just suck. Yeah. But the fact that it's even one of the strongest trilogies, period, because I even looked back, because even Star Wars is. Yeah, probably is. Because even Star Wars that I like has weak. Yeah, it always has a weak movie somewhere. And that's just
three.
Yes, in all the three trilogies it has done. But this one was just consistently strong throughout. Yeah. And I think it was a feat in itself. It's no surprise he has all those Oscars on the table. Yeah. But and he's been unable to like accomplish that since I really disliked the Hobbit movies.
Wait, he did the Hobbit?
He came back to produce them.
He directed?
Because originally they wanted Guillermo del Toro, which I was excited for. And I think he was going to do just one. Because the Hobbit... Because Lord of the Rings is 1,000 pages. The Hobbit is 90 pages. This nigga was like, no, I'm still going to stretch 90 pages into an epic trilogy because Lord of the Rings. And not the best idea. I think all I liked out of the Hobbit was like that Misty Mountain song they sang like at the beginning from the trailers. That was the only hype I had.
Smog.
And then from there, Smog was good. Yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch was good. The casting of who played Bilbo again? Who's that actor?
Guy. Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman. No, that's brilliant casting. I really wish the story was better for him. But I feel like in terms of my favorite movies, what I'd call my favorite movies, because I can't even really still say that this is definitively going to be my favorite movie. But this is the movie I felt objectively, if I was to compare to all my favorites, stood up as like, okay, you've accomplished the most out of all these other movies that I love. And that's pretty much my pick for favorite film.
Okay.
I mean, I think it's a good pick, especially because, again, a lot of times people like. Even like with Marvel films, people would be like hating on franchise films and sequels and all that. But as you said, it was consistently good, and even just the finale of it seemed like just very well done. Like it could have suffered like similar things to like say the Game of Thrones. People were having complaints at the end of it, but then the way it was finished, the whole saga and everything was just perfect, and it was a very even. As you said, very evenly made, well done. I mean, it's hard to find that, as you said, like Star Wars, even something much better like Harry Potter. Like it's also very uneven. Like there's some movies which are still better than some of the others. So I would say that was quite the feat.
I watched them as well. Actually, The Two Towers, I think, was one of the first films I ever saw in a cinema, period. Wow. But my issue with it when I was much younger is I was so afraid of Smeagol. I was so afraid of Smeagol. Like excessively, so I wasn't able to really watch them. But when I grew now, like sometimes you make it an event, it's like, let me watch the Lord of the Rings films, and it's really a worthy experience. Like without fearing Smeagol. Now I can. But I enjoy it. Yeah, the cast is packed and really good at what they're doing. Not a dull moment. I also remember it for the third having like 5 endings.
Oh my god!
There are so many finales.
You want to go out strong, but
keep upping the art.
Even the fact that they allowed it to be that bloated in screen time is amazing. I think it got away with so many things that will just that can't happen today. Because even like Avengers with all its big, which is the biggest franchise ever made, like the Marvel universe and all that, they still couldn't greenlight even that Infinity War thing. You couldn't like greenlight of like, oh, you do all these movies at once.
True.
Like, no, you first do this one.
Do Iron Man,
we spend money, and then we go. So crazy.
Cool. So those are our choices. Hope that gives insight on us.
I'm sure it will.
It does.
It
You
does.
can see and see the dynamic on how people like their things.
You can see people's level.
I will kill you. I met levels of consumption. It wasn't even about, people say that thing when it's like, I'm better than you, I'm richer than you. We just watched too many things. You're doing a smear campaign on me.
It's going to be a carrying gag. Carrying gag through the episodes from now on.
All this smear campaign. It's not like the context will be there every time. Anyway, yeah, that's just.
Read a meme for Sharon and everyone else.
Anyway, yeah, this has been great. 100th episode.
Yeah.
It's good to answer the question, but not really. Surely this choice can change even tomorrow.
Yeah, it could change,
Literally.
Yeah, it's not an answerable question, but it's fun to think about.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on to the next. Let's see where we'll be at 50 episodes. At 150.
150.
Yeah. We'll redo this again. Yeah. But thanks, guys. People who have been listening all this time.
Yeah.
New people who listen. Usually fun when I reach out to a filmmaker and they told me they've already been listening. It's always great.
That's good.
Yeah. Stick with us. We're just getting better and better. Yeah. So that's it. 100 episodes?
100 episodes, all the confetti everywhere.
Oh!
Yeah, centurions.
Yeah.
Look at the real one. I used to imagine this 100th. I'm like, I'm going to throw a party.
They're all events.
Yeah, that was enough.
Yep. This is usually how those things go down.
Let's see 150.
Yeah.
Party will happen.
We'll
have t-shirts. Merch.
Oh yeah, everything. Oh yeah.
Maybe that's
We talk about merch all the time. Yeah, we're going to have merch, guys.
Or we could do the live thing. Who knows? Maybe.
Yeah, also the live thing. But merch is easier.
Than going live.
They're going live.
Than going in real life and talking at people about movies.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll have surprise guests. We'll make a thing out of it. Okay, this is it, guys.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Cinema Red Pill. I'm Sharon.
I'm Joel.
And I'm Timothy.
And goodbye.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
People make films about themselves. What they want. What they love. What they fear most. Here we're nothing but props and their stories.